Hi there. Hope everybody can see me and hear me. It's great to see everybody at 2 o'clock as usual on Tuesday, Technique Tuesdays. Um, I'm trying a new thing with my notes today, so I hope this is working and that I didn't just turn everything off. So we'll see. Hopefully it works. Um, so first I want to mention to you that I am still taking some students for the summer. And shape shifting is one of the classes where we um, expand our vocal, physical, emotional range and make everything more flexible. The second one is the new section of projections, the ultimate form of emotional homework exercised only through the imagination. And I had to create a second section for that because the first section filled up completely. So I've created a second section, and there are places available in that. If you are interested, contact me through www.thefrischapproach, and that's Frisch, thefrischapproach.com. Okay? So previously, we've covered the fundamentals and foundation, uh, and now the actual process. Um, uh, and this is the foundation of craft and all that we do when we prepare a scene. Uh, if you have felt hit or miss in the past with your work, so many people come in and say, it worked Thursday night, but why didn't it work today? Um, or if your work is vague, if you're not didn't nail down something enough. Specificity, by the way, is key to craft and key to the imagination. So if you're vague about things, don't expect consistency. If you want to move from emotional recall to and substitution to the use of the imagination, this is definitely going to be a series for you. Um, if you want a reliable, consistent preparation that gets you to transformation, the next 9 or 10 weeks will give you a lifelong approach. Um, First 5 weeks are on the intellectual part. The next 5 weeks are going to be on the sort of emotional part, how we make this all into emotional. Okay. Um, Also, this is so specific that you may want to take some notes. So, social media is usually not the place for this kind of training. It's quite intense, but if there's just 5 of you who can take this seriously and incorporate it into your work, it's worth it to me to take the time and spread the word. Today, we start from the beginning, and that is the beginning of your process from the first reading through the first intention. Okay? Okay, I'm having a little note issue here. Okay, here we go. So, in nearly every dramatic form, right? A play, a sitcom, an episodic, a feature, the rehearsal process begins with the obligatory first reading. Now, generally speaking, only soap opera does not have really a first reading. They have a mini stage through, but there's no real first reading. Though most actors have already read the script at home, directors do like to see what these characters feel like with their newly assembled cast. And the cast always enjoys bonding with their new BFFs, right, over coffee and bagels. Hopefully, you've had that lovely experience. Unfortunately, driven by their own securities, most actors feel obligated, which, by the way, obligation is the ugliest word in acting. It prevents us from doing so many things. Uh, they feel obligated to give something of a performance under these circumstances, the first reading. Their unspoken fears often cause them to prove that they are deserving of being cast, show that they will be great in the role, or to seek the approval of the director, or playwright, or producer, or backer, or network. All of these obligations are a waste of good rehearsal time and actually produce results that are counterproductive to the genuine exploration and discovery of the text in front of you. Trying to perform a character before you've done the real work only creates artifice and tension. Plus, those premature behaviors are subtly, unconsciously imposed on future rehearsals, making moment-to-moment work impossible. So what can you do in the first reading to begin an organic process and provide a foundation for genuine exploration? As an understood premise, remember this is the beginning of the process, and there is no obligation to create a character or imitate any kind of performance. Therefore, first, start at the top from a physical and emotional neutral. Good posture, no crossed legs, no other unrelated activity. Don't bring your habitual baggage to the character, especially before there is one. 2, be present by saying all your lines to the other actor or actors. The book is a reference point for human contact. The page is not your acting partner, not even for a word or two. You learn the most about the text from contact with the other actors. Yes, this will take a little more time, but so what? The first reading is not a performance. 3, as you absorb the next phrase or line, allow that thought permeate your being. Invest in the phrase as you say it. Do not worry about the line afterwards. One thing at a time. Allow yourself to respond fully to whatever you get from the other actors. No preconceptions, just be present, responsive, and alive. Discover. Reading at home is about half the comprehension. Excuse me. Reading at home is about half the comprehension of actually working with another actor. And if you think about it, the truth of the matter is that dramatic writers write material, text, to be read. It's not literature. They mean it to be read with another actor, which is yet another reason why we can't comprehend it at home. Literally, this is my experience, people understand about half of the text. And when I say by that, half of the implications of text, what that really means, until you actually read it out loud. That's why it's ridiculous to attempt to make decisions about a character before you've had the experience of reading it with someone. You don't have the full information. You can't do it. Okay. As mentioned in earlier talks, the other actor is actually the other actor character. Once you start working, think of the other actor as the actor character. Meaning, what you see and what you hear is what you get. So fully absorb every look, every sound, every attitude you're getting from the other cast members. Life must always be heightened for the actor. 6, for an added bonus, and this takes a little practice, there's a second part to this. So far, I've worked with the intuitive, sort of right side of the brain. This one will involve the left side of the brain, at least in traditional circles. This takes a little practice. Keep a pencil in one hand and mark in the script all instances of odd language, inappropriate responses, sudden transitions, and possible untruths uttered by your character. It's also wise to check any references you will have to research. Of course, you don't really have time to think about it, but as you're going, something strikes you as funny. So you take the pencil, which you, by the way, have to have in your hand ready and pointed to go, otherwise you'll never mark anything, and you make a little check mark, just little check marks on all the things that are odd, and then later you can go back, look at your check marks, and try and figure out what that means. Why did this person use that language there? Why was there such a leap in the transition, etc.? It gives you a chance to do that. It will completely increase your comprehension of the script, force you to be cognizant of every clue, and prevent you from overlooking meaningful moments and transitions. Believe me, actors always miss clues and always miss transitions. If you put a transition in something that is, let's say, something for a self-recording, for an audition, that transition is missed by 4 out of 5 actors, even though it's very clear in the material. You know, transitions is something you always need to do as one of your initial steps. Okay, commit to the above, and you'll be off to a creative and organic and positive start in all dramatic and comic forms. Of course, character clues are embedded in the text. You just have to train the eye and the brain to extract them. Actors frequently overlook these clues and undervalue the implication of these clues as they reveal character and the story. So one approach, best incorporated in the first reading, is based on the simplest of principles. The difference between you and the character is what he says in a given situation versus what you would say. Right? I mean, if your character says, pick it up and pack it up and hit the bricks, buddy, where you might say, you know, this isn't working out, I think you'd better leave. Okay? The difference in dialogue is a major character clue. If the character says, truly, this is not to my taste, and you personally would say, to hell with this, you have been handed a verbal map that tells you what distance and direction to travel to accomplish an appropriate characterization. In essence, who do you have to become to say those words believably? This simple analytical approach uncovers the ways in which you will need to stretch and transform in order to create a character who will fit that language like a hand-tailored suit. Okay, now, moving from the first reading, let's move to the creation of an intention that is both interpretively appropriate, but also exciting and revealing. To arrive at an interpretive solution for the scene, we should ask ourselves, what does the character need? Why do they need it? And what prevents them from getting it? Okay? The best answers to these essential questions can be located in what I call the Trinity, or the IYO, after its 3 components, the intention, the why, and the obstacle. And that's the big picture, right? You don't have to master all of that right now. But we just want to say that the intention is one of 3 factors that are elements in the scene. And the intention is the first one. So we know that an intention, also referred to, by the way, as an objective, can be defined as what your character wants or needs in a scene. to help maximize the use of this basic element and unit of acting, I would, however, suggest the following. First, be precise with your words when you propose the stated intention. Every change of wording will evoke a different behavior for your character. For example, on the surface, it may seem like to win her over and to get her on my side are pretty much the same thing. But if you examine the words to win her over a bit more closely, they connote an enthusiasm and energy that is entirely different from to get her on my side, which evokes a much more strategic and potentially darker behavior. Every word counts. Second, don't just rely on the verb, but employ a stimulating verb phrase. So your intention is not simply to console, but to console the fragile innocent. Not only to destroy, but to destroy the conniving bastard. Your work becomes more specific, it becomes more fun and motivated with a juicy, well thought out verb phrase. Also note that the above intentions begin with the word to. This use promotes an active pursuit, whereas if you just said I want or I need, it's simply a statement of internal reality, true as it may be. Always begin your stated intentions with to help you be more active with what you're doing and wanting in the scene. Let's do a little more about the intention. Remember, needing to play an intention makes the actor far more dynamic and complex than if that actor is simply playing an intention. So get yourself a great preparation based on the why and the obstacle, and that approach will be outlined in the next series of 5 talks, the one after this one. So you're going to need to watch all 10 to really comprehend this whole thing. And you'll be driven to play that intention. Internal conflict and subtext will follow automatically if you need to play the intention. Once you enter the scene after a strong preparation, you won't have to think about the intention again. In the midst of a scene, any conscious thought about your craft will take you out of the scene immediately. As I've said previously, just prep, then live. Once you enter the scene after a strong preparation, you won't have to think about the intention again. In the midst of a scene, any conscious thought, oh, I've said this. Okay. Sorry. An intention is what the character wants or needs when they enter the scene. Okay? The important phrase being when they enter the scene. It may not be actively pursued later in the scene, but the need is definitely there at the top. A character may pursue or want or need something early in the scene, but chances are the why and the obstacle will most likely overcome her intention later in the scene. I mean, that's the way dramatic material is built, right? Somebody wants something and they don't get it. Imagine what dramatic material would be like if somebody wanted something and they got it. Yeah, that's nice. So what? Where do we go from here, right? Conflict is what it's all about. Remember, characters do not generally achieve their intentions. In fact, their frustrations, right, are the stuff of drama and comedy. This is why intentions are often designed to smash into the scenic obstacles. Think about that. You're not creating an intention only because that's what the character wants or needs to do, but what's going to be the best intention so when you reach the obstacle, fireworks will happen. To illustrate, let's use two examples I mentioned a couple of minutes ago. First, the more you need to win her over, the more deflated you will be when you discover that it's too late. She's already chosen someone else, right? But that's why you choose the intention to win her over. So when the deflation comes, because she's chosen somebody else, the disappointment is much greater than if you didn't make that choice. Second example, the more you need to console the fragile innocent, what we did before, um, the stronger your shock will be when you discover that what you thought was a fragile innocent is actually a manipulative evil spy. Well, don't you feel foolish and taken advantage of because you thought she was a fragile innocent? That's why we play intentions. And that's why we choose intentions to play at the beginning of the scene that then turn into shocking behavior as we go on. Finally, another little tip about the intention. An intention is what your character um, comes into the scene to want or need or do, what we just talked about. But therefore, when in doubt about your intention, and this is going to seem like another very simple proposition, just look at the first 5 or 6 lines that your character says in the scene. This will usually help to clarify your choice of intentions, right? If the character, is coming in to create, you create an intention for the character to begin the scene, then those first 5 or 6 lines should indicate what that character wants or needs in the scene, unless they're possibly overcome by the obstacle and so fearful, or things are so fearful in the beginning that they aren't yet ready to open up completely with the intention. But they still want or need the intention at the beginning of the scene. Okay, that's today's discussion about both the first reading and about the first approaches to intentions, and also the various things to consider about intentions. The next 2 parts of the Trinity will be taken up probably both next week, and that is the why and the obstacle. And we will show you how to incorporate them as time goes on. Please be watching every week, or at least recorded every week, because there's a whole logical explanation, and it's very um, uh, one thing follows after the other. Let's put it that way. All right. Next week is the why, the second part of the Trinity, the bottom line motivation. Now, I will take a look, see if there are comments, get out of these notes, and answer anything that might be questions in the interim. I realize this is a lot of information, but that is why I warned you that you really have to be present during these talks, especially these last ones, especially the ones coming up, actually. Okay, hang on. Let me get back to my list. Okay, there we go. Hi, Sandra. Uh, I'm one of the 5. I'm writing your book with my notes. That's very funny. That's right. I could have saved all that time, Brian. Uh, Thank you. Um, yeah, Sandra says something interesting. Sandra, I hope you don't mind me saying this out loud. Took me a long time. Well, actually, you put it in the note column. Took me a long time to leave personal problems at the theater studio door. One of the easiest ways to leave all the daytime crap that we go through once we go into the studio and start to rehearse or whatever, um, is to have this kind of craft that we're talking about. This takes you out of your day into a completely different mindset and immerses you into the world of character, including the needs and the fears and the problems and everything else. And that's why you want to be super specific with your preparation, and then everything else is left behind. Also, as an actor, you have to learn how to achieve neutral. right? You have to know how to take a deep breath, come back to center even before you do the preparation so that your work is deep. Okay, let's see what else we got. Thank you for that, Sandra. Anna Maria, Nicole, nice to see you. Will I be in Las Vegas for teaching a class? Let me know. Would appreciate attending. Nicole, actually, I've been in Las Vegas teaching. I taught workshops for 2 weeks at UNLV a few years back and had a blast. My host was lived there and was a gambler, so he showed me the ropes. It was very interesting. But that aside, I would love to do that. But Nicole, I'm teaching online, and I would not teach anything online on Zoom, live on Zoom, that would compromise what I do in person. Okay? There are some classes that I won't teach on Zoom, but the ones I will, you'll get everything from it. So do what I said at the beginning. Check out www.thefrishapproach.com, and I'd love to work with you, right? I still have places in a couple of sections. Okay, Ryan says, I didn't fully comprehend your statement. The statement was, correctly, always begin stated intentions with to. Okay. A lot of people, when asked their intentions, will say, I want this or I want that or something like that. But that's an internal reality, right? That's an internal need. And internal needs are very important. But to guarantee that you have a more active intention, if you say to as the first word, the infinitive verb to make him laugh, to get her on my side, to eviscerate the bastard, it makes it immediate and it makes it active. Okay? I hope that tells you what you need to tell, what I need to tell you. Let's see what else we got. Hang on. Thank you, Nicole. Ryan, I hope that worked for you. Definitely watching. Yes, Sandra, well said. She says, yes, this does keep me out of my head. Thank you. And what's ironic about Sandra's point is this is the intellectual part. What I'm giving you over the next 4 sessions or so is the intellectual part. After the next 4 sessions, I'll be giving you the emotional part. In other words, how do we turn the intention and the why and the obstacle into viscera, right? Into corpuscles, into soul, into emotion. That's what I'm going to cover after these first 4 sessions or so, which will be all on doing the intellectual work first, which is a prerequisite to then making all that work emotional. Okay? Hopefully you're beginning to understand this. To win, to love, etc. Thank you, Michael. Or Michelle. Oh, sorry, Michelle. Oh my God, Rebecca. Wow. How nice to get this from you. This is a former student from many, many years ago. Hi, Jennifer. And good. Thank you, Ryan. I'm glad that answered your question. Okay. For everybody else watching, I will definitely get back to you. Take a look, examine what I've done. I know it was pretty dense, but look through it, and I will absolutely answer any questions you have during the course of the week. Okay? Take care, everybody. Thanks for watching. Make sure and follow through because this is a whole series with an arc of information, all of which relate to each other and depend upon each other.